Hello, back again to do another unboxing and review. Today we're going to be looking at an unlocked Android tablet. This is a 10.1-inch screen, it's full HD, and it also has the MediaTek's Deca-core processor inside. That's 10 cores. Alright, so where does this tablet come from? Well, I did order it from overseas, and apparently it belongs to a brand by the name of Perkbox. Now, that's not to be confused with that UK-based company that does employee benefit distribution. No, this has nothing to do with that. And on that note, real quickly, I looked for Perkbox having to do with electronics, and I can't find anything on the net about this company. So I'm not even really sure that that is correct, and I think I might know where this tablet, what brand this tablet actually is, but we'll get into that later. So let's go ahead and get right into the specs of this tablet. I have already said a few of them, but the Android 7.0, you can see the 10.1-inch screen with the 5 points of capacitive touch. So okay, then we have the resolution. It's actually a tad bit over Full HD. There's that processor. You might know that processor by a different name, the Helio X20. The RAM 4 gigs, ROM 64. You can see we have 2 cameras, with the back camera being 8 megapixel, not bad. Wireless, and then you can see this actually supposedly can also make phone calls. So you have the option of being a 2G connection, 3G, or 4G. It has GPS, Bluetooth, a G sensor, and then working time. Of course, that'll vary on what you're doing with it, but they claim you can get up to 3.5 hours. Okay, the extra ports, you have micro USB. You can put 2 SIM cards in there. Kind of gives you a clue it came from overseas. 3.5 millimeter jack, and you can also put a what we call micro SD card over here in the States. Okay, the dimensions there, I put those down in centimeters, and then the net weight's only 1.5 kilograms. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look around the box real quick. And when I say quick, because there's not a lot to see. What there is to see, you've been looking at already. That's right, there's just this picture, and you'll notice there is no name. It doesn't tell you what it is. It doesn't tell you a model number. It just shows you a tablet. And by the way, I didn't even get this color that you see on the box. So it looks like they don't even change the box for the different colors that you order. And yes, this does come in a few other colors. But the color I got, well, you'll see when we open it. Alright, and on the back, just in case you're wondering, yes, that's right. So, as far as my impression on the box, well, yeah, there's not much to say. So let's just go ahead and do the unboxing here. Now, it was secured by, if you can see, there's a piece of tape here and a piece of tape here. I've already cut those. So to unbox it, we're just going to go ahead and drop off the top here. Or pull off the top, I should say. Okay, and yes, there's nothing on the inside either. Okay. Alright, now, there's our tablet. It is in an anti-static bag. Alright, so far it feels pretty good. Okay, now it did have a, well, slim, but at least it did have a frame here of foam. Underneath, okay, we have our accessories. Had a little padding there. So we have an instruction manual, and it actually is in English. So, alright. Yeah, and this is only in English, so I'm assuming they drop in the corresponding manual based on who's ordering it, or more likely the address that you're ordering it, having it shipped to. Okay, so right here we have a micro USB to full-size USB female. So this would be your OTG, or on-the-go cable. Here's the actual charger, and yes, they sent me the USA compatible one, and that goes into, as you guessed, micro USB. It doesn't have a light on here, but that's okay. A little LED. Alright, so we have 2 more things in the box. We have just regular micro USB to full size. So, and then a little bonus, which is this, let me put that down here. This is a little stubby capacitive touch which also has the little, oh, I suppose you can put that in the 3.5mm jack, right? So you can dangle it off your tablet. Alright, cool. I suppose I can use that. Oh, and I got a blue one too. So, alright, now let's get back to the tablet here. So, remove it from the anti-static bag. Alright, so you can see what color I got. Black. Timeless. Okay. And there is a screen protector. You can see this little pull-off tab right here. So the screen protector has come pre-installed. We'll look at the side here. We have a few buttons. We have one button there, has power. Then we have a volume. We have that might be a microphone right there. And then that looks to be our 3.5mm for our headset. On the bottom, you can see we have two speakers. On this side, no buttons. And then on the top, oh, there we go. There's the micro USB port right there. Alright, so let's go ahead and have a look at the back. But even so, what this is actually protecting is aluminum textured back. So yeah, you have some metal on this. This what do we call it? Chin down here is plastic, and it's plastic up here, and then the metal starts right below the cameras, which you can see there at the top. Okay, so once I get that film off, we'll be able to appreciate the texture on the back. So I wanted to show you the backing, that aluminum, and you can see its design that's formed, especially evident when you reflect the light off of it like I'm doing here. It's a whole bunch of circles, concentric circles, and they're all centered off of that very middle point on the back of the tablet that you see there. So it gives it this really cool effect. Yeah, I'd say that's worth it just for the visual alone, but it's also nice to have metal on your tablet as well. Feels more substantial. Alright, so I also wanted to show you this. This is the case that you can get. This is a separate accessory, so you have to pay a little more for it. But being as this brand, you're probably not going to find a case for it anywhere else. I would probably recommend you picking this up as well. Now, I actually haven't even seen how it is as far as quality or fit. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm hoping it works because, like I said, I don't know where you're going to find a case otherwise. Okay. So, well, yeah, I'm getting it out of the bag here, but yeah, it is leather, so that's cool. So here we are. So yeah, we have leather. It looks like it has a kind of a indentation here. Oh, probably that can help. It probably doubles as a stand or something, right? If you fold it the right way. Anyway, let's see. How's it close? Well, I'm sure you can hear that. So there's magnetic closure. Okay, and here is the retention system. Okay, so we have a little lip, like a frame. Well, you know what? This is actually a little better than I thought because it does seem to be actually made for that tablet. I was thinking it was going to be one of those universal ones with the little ropes on the four corners, but it seems that it's a little bit better than that. Okay, and then we have a cutout for the front-facing camera, right? And then if we turn it around, oh, look at this. There's also the cutouts for the speakers, the bottom mount speakers. So yeah, this is made for this tablet. And all right. And I suppose you can probably still get to the port for the micro USBs. Probably ends up being right there, so that's good. And then let's look at the back. So at the back, of course, the cutout for the camera. Alright, so I wanted to show you how you get the tablet in there. I took out the nice little foam spacer they had in there, and once you do that, you can see there's this on the bottom, which is secured by Velcro. Separate that, and then you can see you can slide the tablet in. And then you go ahead and secure it once it's in there by reattaching the Velcro. Alright, so I got it in its protective case, portfolio type deal here, folder. And yeah, so there you go. And oh, by the way, this thing on the back, which earlier I wasn't quite sure what it is, it's a tuck-in point, so you can swing this around like so, and then this fits into there, so it stays in this shape like a stand, so you can for ease of viewing. So that's what that's about. I must say, this leather case does add quite a bit of class to the device. I'm liking that, especially when you get black on black. It looks really nice. Oh. Alright, so what I was doing is trying to put in the SIM card and my micro SD card. Now, first of all, to get here, this is at the top of the unit, right there by the camera, and there was this little cover on there. Okay, now the thing about this little cover is it's not really clear how you were supposed to get it off. I mean, I figured it out. There's a it probably doesn't even come up camera, but you can see that very little indent there, just big enough to get maybe a small fingernail in. Well, you have to peel this up, and when you peel it up, it's going to be held in by these three tabs, right? So you kind of have to slide your finger in there to break the connection. So it's going to sound like you're crack, like you're breaking it. But if you are sliding your fingernail up here and going from side to side, you're actually just pulling out these little tabs. And then this is what you're met with. Now you can see that there's two SIM cards that can be used, and also this is where the micro SD card goes in. Now the interesting thing is, this was already in there, and this is, I don't know if it's going to come up, but this is a 64 gig SD, and I'm going to check the speed class on it, and it is speed class 10. So now this, I mean, that's cool. I got a little bonus, but now I'm starting to wonder, because that's what, remember, our spec sheet said, 64 gigs of ROM. So does this thing actually have any internal memory, or did I get 64 gigs of internal memory and an extra 64 gig card on the house? If that's the case, yeah, bonus for me, but we'll have to look into that. So right now I'm going to go ahead and put in my SIM and put in this little SD card that I got back in and close her up. Alright, so I went ahead and took that included SD card and went ahead and put it in an adapter and then put it into my computer so I could see what was on it. So two files are on there, two main files, Android and Lost Directory. Lost Directory, well, as you might guess, has nothing in it right now. Let's go into Android. Then we have a file data. You see here, now we have one file down here, which is 0 bytes. Then we have the Android browser. And then this, I think this GMS is Google Mobile Services. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that, but I think that's what that is. So the browser has some files, but there's nothing in there. And Google Android GMS has files, but there's none in there. So it's looking like they're using this SD card to prepare Google Play, perhaps? Alright, so I finally got the SIM chip in. That was quite the ordeal. So to save you guys and gals the trouble, I'm going to give you the tips and tricks on putting this thing in. Alright, I know it sounds super simple. How could you mess this up? But there's a couple little tricky things here, and I'll share those with you now. Okay, so the SIM chip is the one that's on the right. In this case, it's the white chip in there, right there. Okay, and you'll notice that the little cutout, that little chip off the corner of the SIM card, and that usually helps you orient what's the right way to put it in and not, because when you put it in, if that chip's on the right side or the left side, it'll let you know if you're putting in the SIM card upside down or not. So it's kind of like a little guide, right? Well, in this case, you'll notice the guide is actually remaining outside. Yeah, I mean, of course, it gets covered by the little plastic cover, but you can see it's outside of the socket, right? So that's kind of odd, because then it doesn't really help you do any of the orientations correctly, right? I could easily have this thing in upside down, and there'd be in here, there's nothing to tell you you're doing it wrong, because that little part is remaining out. I think that's kind of a stupid design, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, so you're going to have to follow, there's like little pictures printed on the device. You can probably see it's right by my finger there. You just got to trust that that's the right way and just push it in. Now, when you do that, at least on my unit, for a long time, and that explains the huge delay here, I was trying every other side SIM chip. I mean, micro and nano. Almost got the nano stuck in there. Don't do that. Anyway, the reason I was going through all that is because initially this was not fitting in. Even though I had it in this orientation, it just didn't feel like it was going to go. There was all kinds of resistance, almost to that point where you feel like you're breaking the thing. But after trying everything else, I just said, gotta go for it, and I did. And once you give it way more force than you should need to, I mean, don't break your guys' tablets, but yeah, you're going to have to, at least if it's like mine, you're going to actually have to drive it in there. And then once then, it sinks in, and then it actually goes into place. So, now you know. All right, SIM card install update. Yeah, I know, it really should not be this hard to put in a SIM card. I totally agree with you. But, so this is what happened. You saw how I had the SIM card installed, and that was the way it was supposed to be done. So I went ahead and turned on the device, and it said no SIM card detected. I went to settings. I toggled between SIM card 1 and SIM card slot 2. It told me that there's not a SIM card in either. So I figured maybe it just needs to be pushed in just a little bit more. Well, that little bit more, on top of how much effort it took to get to where it was to begin with, was just a little bit too much, and well, there you go. So that SIM card is not coming out. I tried, it's entombed, so it's going to stay in there. Luckily, it doesn't interfere with the device's ability to operate, but I have lost a SIM card and a SIM card slot. So we have one SIM card slot left, that being number 2, and I went ahead and picked up yet another SIM card. So yeah, $25 later, we're going to go ahead and see if I can make it work with slot number 2. I'm not going to do this again, so I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to put it in as far as it's supposed to go, and if it doesn't work, at this point, I don't care. So, alright, so I got the SIM card number 2 in slot number 2, and hopefully this takes care of the problem. Now, as far as getting it installed, I went ahead and pushed it in with the same orientation as that one was. And I stopped when I got to the same level of depth as the micro SD card there. Now I'm aware micro SD and a SIM card are not the same size chip, they're not the same size card, etc., but I'm having to use it as a guide because the device offers no hints as how far is too far or not far enough. Not far enough, it just says no SIM card. Too far, well, you end up with something like that. So, yeah. Alright, so good news. The SIM card's in and it's working. I turned it on, it recognized there was a SIM card, and then for like a second it said no service, and then that was replaced with T-Mobile, and then I saw the little 4G up in the corner. So, alright, so at least it's working now. Alright, so I think it's about time to actually power this thing up, and I'm going to go ahead and take you through the boot up from a completely off state, and there's just something I want you to see. So here we go. Alright, so MediaTek, that is the manufacturer of the processor, in this case the Helio X20, so makes sense. Don't normally see the chip maker's name come up quite as prominent. When I turn on my LG phone, I don't see something saying Qualcomm, but okay, whatever. And Android, yes, it is an Android tablet. Again, I don't normally get screens like this on a smartphone that say Android. I mean, you might get the little icon or loading or whatever, but yeah. Okay, I mean, but both screens make sense, but a little odd. Okay, now, the reason we went through that is I wanted you to see what didn't come up more so than what did come up. In this case, it was the fact that we did not get the name, the brand of the tablet. We got pretty much everything other than that. Notice that? Yeah, alright. Alright, so we're back. I turned off the light because it's a lot easier for you to see the screen and what's coming up. So, continuing off where we are, we're going to go ahead and open this up. Now, right off the bat, I want to go ahead and solve this mystery about who makes this tablet. And the easy way of doing that here is going into Settings. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and scroll. That's not where we want to be. Okay. So we're going to go down to About Tablet. Alright, so right there you can see model number LZ109. That model number corresponds with a tablet that's manufactured by a company called BMXC. Now, BMXC might not be a brand that people, everybody's heard of. However, if you shop for tablets, namely from over there in China, in this price point, BMXC is not an unfamiliar brand. They provide tablets with decent specs, for a really competitive price. So now here comes the question then. What's with all the secrecy? why come up with this, I don't know, odd product line name of Perkbox, a brand that, for all I can tell, doesn't really exist, especially when you have a brand, BMXC, that for people shopping in this market would probably be familiar with. Or even if they're not, they'll know at least, oh, it's a brand, and they can see other model numbers, other tablets and other products made by it. It's just a big confidence booster, right? So I'm not really sure what this whole thing, and you might say, okay, well, maybe your literature is wrong. Maybe this really was a BMXC tablet. Well, I mean, it is, but maybe it was always meant to be marketed as such. But then, why not on the boot screen? And for that matter, why not on the box? So I'm not sure what this is all about, and I don't understand why they're being so secretive about it. Now, let's go ahead and get to memory. So we're going to go here, click memory. Alright, so this is what we need to see on this side. So, okay, total memory, go over there. That's 3.7 gigabytes. So, as you know, you don't get all 4, so 3.7 makes sense. So we did get our 4 gigs of RAM, or as much as for that as you're going to get. Now let's go to storage space. Now earlier I asked a question about that extra SD card that was in there, and if we actually had any internal storage. So now we're going to, okay, let me get back out of this. Go back to storage here. Okay. So first of all, we're going to look at internal, and you can see there 58.47. So that's the 64 gigs, right? Okay. Now if we go back, scroll up, SD card, 62.44. So it does look like we have 64 plus 64. So it seems that it did have internal storage. So that's great. All right. Now let's go ahead and look at the apps that came with it. I have not put anything else on here, so this is exactly what it shipped with. And, yeah, and that wallpaper, I mean, it's not bad, but to be frank, if I was going to try to show off I have a full HD screen, I'd probably pick something a little more detailed than this, but whatever. Of course, you can change the wallpaper. Just something I was going to point out. Okay, let's go. So here are the apps it ships with, and there's one that, well, let's look at the first one there. Antutu benchmark. Now, I'm tempted. I want to know how fast this tablet is, so you think I'd go ahead and push that. But I'm a little suspicious of tablets that ship with that right there. And I'm not sure, is that actually legit, or is that just something that's going to tell me that this thing's as fast as an Intel Core i7 with a GTX 1080? I mean, obviously that's not the case, but that's why I'm kind of suspect of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that, actually get a new copy from the Play Store, and then run that one, and hopefully that'll give us the real stats. Now I'll go ahead and start actually testing this thing out. Alright, as far as testing the performance of this tablet, I went to the Play Store and downloaded a few different benchmarks, as you see here. Now, the one that's missing that I wish was there but couldn't be is Antutu. Now, the reason why it's not there is because of the one that came shipped with the device, the one that was present as soon as I turned it on for the first time. Now, not trusting that shipped version of Antutu, I went to delete it. So I went to the settings, went to apps, force stop, and I was waiting for it uninstalled to appear, but it didn't. The most I could do was disable. So I went ahead and just disabled it, then went to the Play Store and was going to go get the one from the Play Store. But as the Play Store could detect that there was a version of Antutu already on here, the only option I had was not install, but rather update. So I tried to update it, and then I got some error code that said it couldn't do the update. So whatever. Alright, so let's just go ahead and run. I'm going to do 3 of these 4 here. We'll start with Geekbench 4. And you can see here we have a single core score of 373. And what's this here? 1089 for the multi-core score. So yeah, we're just a little over 1,000 with all those cores. Alright, going down, you can see Android 7.0. And at this point we all know this is a BMXC tablet, but for the first time we're actually seeing it all written together, the LZ number and the BMXC side by side. So that kind of just confirms that. And then as far as the cores, we see 2 and 8 for a total of 10. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at the next one, which is the 3D Mark. Now, this kind of had like a suite of different benchmarks you could run. There was Ice Storm Extreme, and then I think one called Slingshot, and then there was another one. Now, the only two I could run were Ice Storm and Ice Storm Extreme, so of course I ran the Extreme version, right? And I got that score there, 1940, and I think I ran it again. Yeah, and I got the same number. Alright, so let's go ahead and do the last one, which is this CPU Prime benchmark. And you can see the score there, 3,931, so almost 4,000. And if you look at it, apparently that places this device between a Nexus 4 and a Galaxy S4. So yeah, these scores aren't that great, not at all actually. And you'd think with 10 cores and 4 gigs of RAM, we'd be scoring quite a bit higher. Alright, so we're back at this Geekbench 4 results page. And I know you're saying, hey, he already showed us this. Why are we back here? Well, we're back here for a good reason. Now, if you caught this on the first time I showed it, points for you. But in case you didn't, there's something very wrong going on there. Now, let's look at those clusters. Cluster 1 and Cluster 2. First, I'll tell you, the Helio, the true Helio X20, the MT6797, you know, this thing that they're pretending's in here, that has 3 clusters, alright? This one has 2. That's your first hint there's something wrong. But there's something even more obvious than that. Look at cluster 1. 2 cores running at 0.00 hertz. Yeah, so you have 2 cores in here that are doing nothing but just sitting in there to solely be another 2 cores in a tablet. So, I said earlier, 8 and 2 make 10, and that's true. But the 2 aren't doing anything, so this is really an octa-core tablet. So we got one huge strike of fakeness. And now let's go on. Now this isn't so much fakeness, but it shows it's another piece in our puzzle of why this is performing so poorly on the benchmarks. You see that GPU there? Yeah, that is, well, you can see it, the Mali 400. So we have some, I don't even know what the 400 is, but if we're just going to go by numbers, it's obviously not as high rated as the one that's supposed to be in there. And, well, even if I didn't know what this was about, we know this performing quite poorly on the graphic intensive benchmarks. So, now let's talk about the screen. So, the screen, it says here that it's a 1920 by 1200, okay, so full HD. If you run other applications like those resolution checkers, similar to a benchmark, but it just checks the resolution of your screen instead of all the other stuff. All right, a lot of them are going to say that this is a 1280 by 800, which means it's essentially what some people call half HD or just HD, but not full HD. Here's the PPI. So if you don't know what that is, that's pixels per inch, and it measures the density of the pixels. So to think of it like, you remember those old toys, I think it was called Light Bright, and you put the little light bulbs into the board? Okay, so just think of the pixels like those little lights, okay? The more lights you have, the more densely you can put. So you have a similar sized board. That board doesn't change. But if you can put twice as many little lights in there, you're going to be able to make a lot more detailed pictures or designs, right? Same thing like with pixels per inch. The more of them you have, the more detail you can get because, well, there's just more things to light up in a given space. Okay, now let's put this in perspective. My LG V20, my daily carry phone, I really like that phone. Anyway, that phone has a PPI of 513. Yeah, that's double that. Okay, but you're going to say, hey, but it's a phone and this is a tablet. Okay. So let's go look at the Microsoft Surface 6 Pro. All right, okay. That has a PPI of, I believe it's 267, or let's just say 270 to make it simple. It's even more impressive because that screen is also 2.2 inches bigger on the diagonal, meaning even though the Surface Pro 6 has a bigger screen, it's still able to keep the density of pixels higher than this. Alright, so back to the pressing matter here, that of the processor. I'm going to be putting up footage from yet another app. And the reason I'm doing this is because it's, well, twofold. First of all, it's yet another app showing these two dead cores. And the second reason is because this particular app shows in real time as the processors are turning on and turning off and how many hertz they're running at. So you'll actually see in real time these two cores just failing to turn on. And I think that shows this way more vivid than just static numbers on a readout. Let's go ahead and have a look. Okay, so at this point, we're going to kind of skip straight to the end of this review, and I'm going to skip over things like showing pictures from the camera and the daily use and how is it to use, how long does the battery last, etc., because at this point, I just don't see any purpose. Are you really going to buy this tablet at Deca-core price to get an octa-core, and an octa-core that performs pretty crummy at that? No. So I don't see any point, but I think we can circle around and answer the question I asked earlier in the video, which was, why does this thing not have a model name written anywhere on it? What's Perkbox? I never heard of them. Why didn't they just write BMXC on the box? And, well, I think we know why now. BMXC, their hardware's in there. However, I don't really think they want to be associated with this tablet because, well, it wouldn't be very good advertising for them, right? Giving customers less than what they paid for, false advertising. So, yeah. So in the end, who is Perkbox? Who really cares? Why would you want to buy anything from this company if it even exists anyway? So I guess the moral of the story is here is if you cheat, no one cares, no one buys your product, and review over.